What up, everyone? It's your boy, Satem Mangale, the Reverend of the Revolution. Welcome to your Daily Revolution. Today's topic, reading books versus hiring a coach. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Recently on my Facebook post, I posted about my 7-mile run and the struggles and the battle of running. And I made a request on the social media, hey, who's got some good books to read? So, like 40, 50 comments and some great feedback. And look, I get it, right? I don't have to ask, but I play the game of social media. I make requests. I go back and forth. I ask questions. You interact. It's like life. It's really kind of life these days. You have a conversation with people on social media. Like, that's kind of what a lot of people do. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And there's great suggestions. So many people recommending things. And there was one person, check that, 2 people who I have mad respect for. I know who they are. I know what they've done. And when they recommend something, I do it. Now, I've coached both of these guys in my programs before. And I have mad respect. Just because I coach somebody doesn't mean that I cannot take something from them and I can't be a humble student. Like, Satema's always going to be a humble student. At least I'm going to try to be a humble student. And then, either you choose to be humble, you're going to be compelled to be humble. That's another story. There's this one individual on there who gets on there and says, and, it might have been the way that I read it, but it was funny. He's like, you need to hire a coach. And then he goes on to talk about why I need to hire a coach and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. And now, if I've got an ego, this will not sit well with me. And look, Satema's got an ego. We all do. Right? I got a sense of pride about who I am, and I've got an ego about how good I think I am and how good I believe I am. And at first glance, when I first read this thing, I said, the nerve of this guy. Like, that's what I said. Who is this dude? Well, I know who he is, and it's okay. There's a couple guys that actually said this on there. And there's a couple guys that actually messaged me. So tell me you should consider hiring a coach. I'm like, oh my gosh. And look, here's the point. So I messaged one of them back and we have a conversation and like there's respect. And I'm not trying to prove my point. I'm not trying to argue. Look, if you argue on social media, you are a dummy. Yes, I'm going to say it. Quote me, put that. If you argue on social media and that's not your job. You see, some people have a job to argue. Some people have a job to be polarizing. My boy, Sean Whalen, Lions Not Sheep. Dude, that's a polarizing dude. That's his job. That's how he makes his money. That's what he does. That's who he is. It would be rather weird if my boy didn't argue and wasn't polarizing. But most people, that's not your job. So if you are the guy who argues on social media, look, just stop being a dummy, man. Go get a hammer from Home Depot, buy the hammer, look at the hammer, and then hit yourself with it. Back to the podcast. This guy was asking me questions, and I wanted to shoot a podcast about the conversation we had about buying books and reading books versus hiring a coach. Now, what's the difference? What's the pros and cons? When should you buy a book and when should you hire a coach? I'm going to give you some insight on this because I am a coach, and I hire coaches and experts. You see, experts and professionals and high achiever, most of them, when they want to do something, guess what they do? They go hire a coach. They go pay someone money, whether it's a little bit of money or a large amount of money, but they hire a coach. Why? Because a coach can help you to see things that you cannot see. A coach can coach you through and walk you around the blind spots and help you to see the blind spots because you're blind to them and you don't even know that they're there. You don't even know that you're blind. It's like a fish in water. Fish doesn't even know that it's in water. But what does a book do? Why did I ask for help with books? Look, books are amazing. Books are like hired mentors. They're just mentors. It's a one-way conversation. And the reason why I wanted to read books is I've had this mindset that I'm a football player. I'm a big guy and I don't run. That's been my mindset. That's been my identity. Like, I'm not a runner. That's what it's been in the past for 42 years of my life. And so it's been changing. So I've been listening to books, a lot of books. Born to Run, listening to David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. There's a couple other books that I've bought, really about just people who, and so why do I buy the book? Because there's a training There's a process and there's a price and there's a conversion that's got to take place within my mind. So I can hire a coach, which I have, and the coach can tell me on my running programs and give me some real specifics. It's great. As far as this conversion, it's like when someone converts to Christianity. They read scriptures, they hear testimonies from others, they see other people in action, and there's this conversion process that for most people takes time. So the books are great. If you are a person, like, and for me, I had another guy message me and say, hey, Satema, what are your top 3 books? I'm like, are you kidding around? I buy like 4 or 5 books a month, and I chew these books up like I chew ribeye steaks on my grill. Now, I didn't say that, but if you've not read books recently, like if you don't ever read and you just kind of ho-hum through life, just kind of getting by, guess what you got to do? You don't need to hire a coach. Go buy a book, go read the book. Because what's going to happen is as you start to read books or listen to books on Audible or whatever apps you listen to books on, your mind is going to be opened up. Possibility is going to be abundant. You're going to see things you couldn't have seen before. The conversion process on how you see yourself, on how you see the world, on what you think is possible, it's this beautiful thing. And then you might actually go hire an expert or a professional. Now, I want you to hear this. Everybody can benefit from a coach without a doubt, without question, but it really depends on what you want. Like some people are just really happy. If you're listening to this book and life is just ho-hum, happy, hunky-dory, panda bears and koala bears and fruits and, rainbows and sunshine. Look, you don't need to hire a coach. Why? If you are content and you are satisfied and good to go, keep reading books, keep watching YouTube videos. But, and that's a big but, if you want something more, like if there's some things that are undone, if there is a race, if there is an event, if there is a financial benchmark, if there is something out there that you absolutely want, and you have been unable to get it, and or you really, really, really want it, the fastest path, and like I gotta say this, you're willing to do the work. Don't hire a coach if you're not willing to do the work. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. I will tell you, about 1% to 2% of the clients who hire me, small percentage, they'll wire me a large amount of money and then they'll never show up. Are you kidding me? It's like they donated a large amount of money to me and then they just disappear. Now, I cannot judge why they do that. I've been in those shoes before. But my point is this, if you're going to do the work and you want to do the work and you want to win, then you hire a coach. And you can still read books at the same time. Because there's a conversion process. There's a price to be paid. There's a process to go through. And that's called what we call conversion. Right? Your mindset has to be shifted. Your skill sets have to be increased. So books are great to do that, right? Listening, just changing your mind. This is the diet of the mind, feeding the mind, surrounding yourself with great people and hearing stories and examples of greatness. I love reading. And I'm going to give you my top 3 books right now. Obviously, I'm going to start with one that changed my entire life. It's the Book of Mormon and the Bible. Like those 2 books right there, wow, brought me closer to God, brings me closer to God. No substitute for that. Someone asked me what's the greatest business book, and I said the Book of Mormon. Now, regardless of your religion or your faith or whether you believe in God or not, like, how about you stay open? Just try it on. I'm telling you what's worked for me, and you would never know if it doesn't work for you. So Book of Mormon, Bible, okay, we'll put those on the side now. Next book, I would say 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Man, Stephen Covey, the late Stephen Covey, man, that dude changed my life. I love the conversation about lenses and paradigms, abundance and scarcity. And if you come through my programs, whether it's Immersion or Pro Rev Live or our Clarity is Power event, like you're going to see that, wow, I can see where Satema really learned from Covey. He has the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We've got the 13 principles, insights, and distinctions of powerful living. So Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, highly recommend that. I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. That changed my life 15 years ago. Assets, liabilities, thinking like rich people. And then from there's just so many, right? I'm loving David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. I love Tim Grover's book, Relentless, How to Be Unstoppable. I mean, I'm an athlete, so those books really jive and resonate with me. Brene Brown, I think it's Brene, that's how you pronounce it. She's got some books that I'm going through right now. They're incredible. James Clear with Atomic Habits, I'm going through that one right now as well. Stuart Wild's got what I'm going through. Like, you could tell I love to listen and read. I love to grow. And I also have coaches. In fact, I'll put this on here, like to the tune of over 6 figures last year that I paid out to coaches. Why? Because I'm hungry for something. I want something big that I don't currently have. I've also got some investors that I got to pay back. You know, I took money from back in the mortgage and real estate days, and I didn't have to pay them back. You know, it's an investment. But that voice inside of me said, hey, you need to do right by these folks. So I worked hard today building up a business that's going to allow me to pay off a significant amount of money to my investors from 10 years ago. And in the meantime, I continue to invest in myself through coaches, through books. So what's the biggest, I guess, insider lesson from this? Depending on where you're at, always be learning, always be reading. Leaders are readers. That's what I was talking about. Kevin Hall wrote a book called Aspire. He said, learners are earners, and earners are learners. Leaders are readers, and readers are leaders. And always be learning, because life is always going to be teaching. And if you're not open to learning and life's trying to teach you, it's just going to give you some serious hardship and some of the most difficult things that you've ever experienced until you learn the lesson. So coaches, books, audios, like it's all part of the game of life. My final 2 cents on this, my final 2 G's on this, forget 2 cents, my final 2 G's on this. If you want something big and you don't have a coach, and you've been plateaued, or you can't figure things out, you ought to go find a coach. Find a group. If you have any desire to be in one of my groups, just shoot me a message. Say, hey, I listened to your podcast, and what would it be like to work with you? And then we got multiple platforms. Number 2, start reading. Read books. Listen. Less TV, more books. That's something in my home. My boys want to watch TV. I'm like, yeah, how many books did you read? And I make them read out loud and chew books up and do a lot of work. Just like, the TV is cool, but man, learn, and you can learn a lot from TV. That's a whole nother discussion. So we'll finish this podcast up. Books versus coaches. I keep learning, keep reading. I love them both. Both are important. Both matter. I'm out. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com. And join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.